Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I'm stepping into the role of your expert lecturer today, and I'm bringing over 15 years of early childhood design experience to give you a really complete, ground-up crash course. Now, I want you to forget everything you know about simply sticking, say, leaf decals on a wall to make a room look natural. Today, we are going to look at designing early childhood spaces that actually behave like natural living systems, literally shaping environments that are intuitive, calming, and incredibly developmentally rich.
Okay, so here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with an intro, dive into the 5 hidden rules of natural systems, tackle how children actually process growth and risk, look at some common mistakes we all make, and wrap up with a bit of practice. Let's jump right in.
By the end of our time together, you're going to have a completely new lens for looking at spaces. Whether you're a parent, a teacher, or a designer, you'll walk away knowing how to build environments that naturally guide self-regulation, support healthy risk-taking, and really act as a functional blueprint for a child's growth.
All right, we need to start with a massive paradigm shift. Nature-inspired design isn't about treating nature as just visual decoration. Actually, purely decorative stuff, like scattering plastic plants around, that completely flattens a child's experience. Instead, we have to start treating nature as a functional blueprint. Because, think about it, children experience a space through pressure, texture, rhythm, and possibility. By borrowing nature's underlying logic, we can make a room soft but also complex, protective yet expansive. Development is a living process, and it absolutely needs real, tangible feedback.
And this brings us right to our core foundation for today. Children do not grow inside a theme. They grow inside a system. A static pirate theme or spaceship room, it's kind of a rigid dead end. True development thrives in living systems that actually breathe and respond and offer feedback. So keep that in the back of your mind as we break down the 5 hidden truths of these natural systems. Truth number 1 is rhythm. You can think of a space kind of like a heartbeat. It definitely shouldn't shout at one continuous, flatlining intensity. Just like a forest has moments of total rest and then moments of movement, childhood spaces need alternating patterns. This is absolutely crucial to prevent sensory overload. Imagine a classroom where a high-energy building block area is set up right next to a secluded, really soft reading nook. That establishes a readable pattern for the kids. So, quick recap. Avoid constant intensity. It's like music, right? A single note repeated forever is just exhausting, but a rhythm gives you something comforting to follow. The second truth is layers. Layering gives a room multiple uses all at once, creating visual depth without feeling cluttered. Think about a forest floor. You don't just see one flat level of life. There are roots below, moss at ground level, and huge canopies up above. A flat space just gives one loud message, but a layered space, that supports multiple ages, different moods, and varying levels of engagement at the exact same time. So if you're setting up a playroom at home, try placing a low rug for floor play, maybe a medium height table for drawing, and then a higher shelf for displaying their work. It's like a perfectly designed meal. You need salt, acidity, texture, and warmth all working together rather than just one dull flavor. Okay, our third truth is self-regulation. And honestly, this one is a real game changer. Good environments help children regulate themselves instead of forcing regulation from the outside. The space itself naturally signals where to slow down and offers a place to retreat. Imagine a traditional Beijing courtyard. It has a central open area that just screams run and play, but it's bounded by low planting beds that intuitively invite a pause or a slower pace. The boundaries are totally visible without being harsh. And the best part? If the room is designed right, the environment does the regulating work for you. It literally saves you from having to constantly nag. Truth number 4 is adaptability. Now look, human-made systems love to optimize for efficiency. We want one path, one correct answer, and let's be real, whatever is easiest for us adults to sweep up and clean at the end of the day. But natural systems completely trade that rigid efficiency for flexible adaptability. Spaces need to be usable, but not permanently closed. For instance, providing open-ended, ambiguous objects like logs or stones, rather than a highly scripted toy that only has one rigid function, supports endless kinds of play. Think of it like a really good backpack with compartments. It's a flexible structure that holds totally different things without everything devolving into a messy chaos. Our fifth and final truth is relationship. Objects in total isolation just don't hold meaning for very long. Nature teaches through relationships, what sits next to what or what contrasts with what. Placing a really rough, heavy stone right next to some soft, delicate moss invites the body and the mind to interact in ways those isolated objects simply couldn't on their own. If you're designing a play structure, maybe try contrasting a dark, sheltered tunnel directly next to an open, sunlit climbing net. The parts matter because of their connection. It's the difference between words and sentences. A word alone gives you a hint, but a sentence, the relationship, gives you the actual meaning.
All right, now that we have those 5 truths down, we have to talk about calibrated risk and agency, because growth actually requires manageable uncertainty. When a child faces a physical challenge, they don't sit there and intellectualize it first. Their body assesses the stability, acts to navigate it, and then recovers from small mistakes. And that process right there, that is the developmental sweet spot for building judgment. A great example is spacing stepping stones in a stream so they aren't too close, which is boring, but also not too far, which is unmanaged danger. Risk is absolutely not the enemy of safety. We just want managed challenge, not unmanaged danger. Let's quickly review some common traps we all fall into. A huge one is optimizing only for tidiness or trying to remove all the challenge. That just makes a space dull and stunts any adaptable learning. Another big one is confusing developmental risk with unmanaged danger. Children literally need to rehearse life through small, recoverable mistakes. Also, beware of purely decorative nature, like those plastic leaves we talked about, or providing only scripted toys. Both of those completely eliminate imagination and fail to ask the child, hey, what could this be today? Always, always filter for manageable challenge and functional relationships.
So, to bring it all home, nature works because it perfectly balances opposites without flattening them out. Kids need a system, not a theme. By leaning into rhythm, layers, self-regulation, adaptability, and relationships, you're actually allowing play to naturally organize their learning. And when the body is allowed to read risk first, it builds incredible, lifelong resilience. Ultimately, a truly great environment doesn't just host play, it actively shapes the quality of it. Let's put your new design judgment to the test with a quick thought experiment. Next time you're looking around a playroom, try to spot the fundamental difference between a scripted toy and a loose, natural part. You'll notice the scripted toy demands that the child perform a very specific task, whereas a natural log just sits there and asks the child, well, what do you want me to be?
Or taking it a step further, how would you physically transform a flat, uninspiring room into a layered corner that actually supports multiple moods at the same time? Think about how you could apply those natural truths to create visual depth, maybe mixing up the heights and textures so it feels like that perfectly balanced, well-designed meal we talked about earlier.
You've crossed the line now from just decorating spaces to reading them intelligently as systems. So I want to leave you with one final ultimate question. Whenever you walk into a classroom, a playground, or even a living room from now on, look past the surface decorations and ask yourself, what kind of growth is this space quietly training?